My name is Bryan Dedeaux. I'm here with Logan Redondo. Together, we will be bringing you training, technique, tradition, culture, and just about all things Mission Viejo Nadadores. In this first episode, we talk a little about our culture and what we think makes the Nadadores so special. This is the Nadador Way. Okay, cool. So what we're doing right now, we are going to start our very first attempt to podcast, or what do we call this? A video blog? What is this? A vlog? I don't even know.
It's all the above.
It's all the above.
Yeah.
So, we don't even have a name for this yet. My thought, because this is something that we talked about like way back when you were still swimming, and Siga and Coach Rose were kind of running the show. The Nadador Way, that came up multiple times when we discussed what we do at the Nadadors. And I always thought that was kind of a cool name for, either a podcast or some sort of, media where we could get it out. So anyway, perhaps the name of this podcast is the Nadador Way. And our first topic of discussion potentially is the culture and how we run things and what we do here at the Nadadors.
So my name's Logan Redondo. I was both a Nadador swimmer and a coach. So my story kind of dates back to late 90s. So before the 2000s, I started swimming with the Nadadors. To be honest, I don't remember who was at the swim school at the time when I was there, but I started at the swim school. I know Wendy was actually there at one of those stages, and now she's back here with us as well. But I started swimming there when I was 5 or 6. Parents wanted me to learn how to swim. I'm lucky enough to fall in love with the sport from there. I got to swim with Coach Siga. For those of you that know Siga Rose, Coach Bill Rose's wife, I swam with her for a bit when I first got into the sport. I think you came in along the way. I want to say around 9, 10, or 11, 12, I think you joined the team, Bryan. So I swam with you for a bit. I got to swim with Bev Montrella. I got to swim with obviously Bill Rose, Bill Voigt, Tyler Fenwick, all these guys. Then from there, growing up through the program, I was lucky enough to get to represent Nadadors at the Olympic trials in 2012. And then I went on to swim at the University of Minnesota for 4 years, and again came back and swam with the Nadadors again in 2016 for the Olympic trials under Bill Rose and Bill Voigt again. And along the way, I got into the coaching game. I was coaching a little bit at the University of Minnesota at their swim camp, so that's when I got my first taste of it. And then when I came back and trained for trials in 2016, I started coaching masters. So kind of got a little bit of everything along the way there. And then once I stopped swimming, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just graduated college. I stopped swimming. It was kind of figuring out what that next step was. And I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I got my degree in kinesiology with an emphasis in sports psychology. But I was 23 at the time when I stopped swimming. So I didn't know if I wanted to kind of pursue other things or stay in the swimming world. And one thing led to another. And Bill Voigt actually told me he was looking to hire people. And I was in Southern California at the time, and then kind of the rest was history. I started working with Bill a little bit, worked under Sarah a little bit, coached at Mission for, I want to say, about 2.5 years, and eventually I was Mark Schubert's assistant with the senior division. And then along the way, I managed to find myself at Santa Clara for a bit. We don't need to dive in too much about my time at Santa Clara, and honestly, I really, really enjoyed it, and I totally enjoyed that program. But I hit a point where I am now, or where I'm at now, where I'm looking to try to climb that ladder and be as high as I possibly could be in the sport. So one thing led to another, and Mission had an opportunity, and now I found myself back here. So perfect. I think between you and me, we got about 20 years of time at Mission.
Yeah.
So we certainly have seen a lot of it, and I am grateful to see both Bill Rose and Mark Schubert's Mission Viejo, and I'm sure we'll dive into kind of what those cultures look like and how I don't want to say they're different, but how they're the same and how it's grown over the past 20 years. So
Right.
that's my story.
And he's sticking with it. Excellent. Hey, I was just realizing that our paths were very similar, and we were basically traveling in the same timeline. My journey with the Nadador started in 1999. So probably right around the time where you maybe have been on the team for a year or so. And I do remember your older brother, and I remember seeing you as just a little 5, 6 year old. And I have pictures, and if you want, I can bust them out and show you. But there's some really great pictures of you as a little tiny tart in the, what it was, 8 and under division with Coach Siga. And I remember helping out with that group. We were actually at the Sierra pool at that time. My first coaching position was an assistant coach with that same summer league that kind of ignited my passion for the sport. And I did that at the Colony Red Hots in Irvine. We did our summer league every summer, and I started out as just an assistant coach, moved on to assistant head coaches, I guess, with my best buddy that grew up into swimming with me, Ray Wong, who's now the head water polo and swim coach at Irvine High School. Took my summer league team, became the head coach of the summer league team, fully enjoyed kind of being in charge, making decisions, and helping build a program. 130 kids with a waiting list. We couldn't even take more swimmers in due to the league rules, but we always had a waiting list. And we went from 4th place at the championship meet to 3rd place to 2nd place to 1st place. And then at that point, I had already started coaching with the Nadadors. I was like, all right, this is it. I did what I wanted to do. We won the championship meet. It was a pretty epic experience for me as a coach. And it's time for me to move on and be more committed to the higher level of coaching. And in 99, I started with the Nadadors. I worked from 5, 6, 7, 8, learned to swim all the way up to assisting with Coach Rose, maybe like a couple days. I don't think it was more than that. I think Coach realized that I was great with the little kids. I was not great with the older kids, because those older kids, honestly, were about the same age as me, in their early 20s. And I don't think I had the confidence yet to coach with the same passion that I did when I worked with the little kids. And that was really my specialty, was just communicating, playing, having fun, celebrating the sport with these little kids and helping them enjoy what swimming was all about. Then Bev Montrella retired, and I was able to take her position as the 10 and under division director in 2004. And from then on, I had the 10 and under kids, and I absolutely just adored those kids and those families. It really is a sweet spot for coaches. If you enjoy coaching kids, 10 and unders is amazing. You can coach these kids to be great athletes. You can keep them invested and excited about the sport. They don't talk back to you.
What's that like?
They show up and they swim for you. They listen and they work hard. They're just wonderful kids, and they have great families. And the swimmers are always moving this direction. There's these little tiny little bumps, but they're always moving in this direction. And that just makes it easy because they're always happy. I think when you get to the 11, 12 division, all of a sudden life in swimming resets. And now the kids at the top are now in the middle or the bottom. And I think that's when emotionally can get challenging. I had a year with SET Aquatics, and that was a fantastic year. I kind of learned how to think outside the Nadador box. We're such a structured program with very firm, standards and rules in place, and going to a smaller program, you had to think outside the box. I couldn't be just that same Nadador coach. And that really helped me grow, even though it was a year. COVID hit and kind of shut things down. I was basically jobless for a couple months, and Mark reached out to me, and sure enough, same thing that happened with you, where there was a position open, and and I said, I really enjoyed my time with SET, but I really am truly a Nadador at heart, and I did miss the kids. I did miss the families, and being able to come in and do the 11, 12 director position was a step up in the level of competition that I would get to coach, and the swimmers I would get to coach. So there we are. Since June, I've been the 11, 12 director and working with some of the best swimmers that I've ever coached. And it's been an absolute pleasure. And the families have been great. Having no swim meets for however long was a blessing in disguise in that we could really take our time and say, okay, what do we really need to get done? What have these 11, 12s been training for, but then never really taken the time to bring it back to like 8 and under, 9, 10, where we just get developmental, like really stroke-wise developmental. And I thought that while it was tough to be out of the competition, world, it was great for the kids and the coaches, myself included, to just kind of hit the reset button. And I mean, I worked on the crossover turn from June 1st through today, and I had never coached it before. It was a very challenging looking turn to me. Having 10 and unders, I just was like, I'm not going to do it right now. This is too hard for me. I'll figure it out later. But I was like, this is the time. Let's do it. And we practice every single day. And now every kid in my gold group has the crossover turned down where they can do it at a swim meet, where they're legal, and most of them are extremely fast and really, really good at it. So I'm here with the Nadadors. I'm so proud to be here. I'm so excited to be here. And it's awesome to see you because we've been kind of on that same path for so long. And now we're here chatting on a podcast. And it's kind of the inside joke is that you and I are probably the least talkative coaches on the staff. So to have us doing this is kind of silly, but yeah, I'm excited. This is great. Get us talking about something we love. Can't shut us up.
Right? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And I'll go start a meeting with the kids and think, okay, this is going to be like a 2-minute thing. And then all of a sudden I've talked for 30 minutes and I'm like, what happened? Right. Yeah. So like, I think you and I are that way in the sense that we're pretty reserved, but we're talking about something that we enjoy. Oh my God, I won't shut up about it. Right. And yeah, I think the Nadadors, I think swimming, I think all those things we certainly will have some conversations. So I'm looking forward to that. But I think you and I'm going to have a good experience here, and I'm hoping that we can put out some information for the swimming world and for, at the very least, our Nadador world of kind of what it looks like on the inside, kind of how we kind of think through things and what we're hoping to get across to our athletes. So
absolutely. Yeah. So I've done multiple presentations for ASCA, USA Swimming, all around the country. And one of the things that always pops up is that people are asking, what are you doing over there? Like, what are your 9-10s doing? What are your 11-12s doing? What are your 13-14s doing? How does your program handle these situations? And they assume that, I know everything that goes on in the program, and that's great. I don't. I wish I did, but I don't know everything that's going on in the program. But at the same time, I realize that there are a lot of teams, a lot of coaches out there that look at us as, something that they can strive to be like. And that's exciting to me. I didn't realize the kind of tradition and history that I had kind of joined in when I started with the Nadadors. I just really didn't know the kind of powerhouse program that this was. So I was very lucky to jump into a program that was kind of, heading in the right direction when I joined in 99. And on an age group side of things, we just went straight up until about 2012 and the Olympics. So we're going to be discussing in the best way that we can, essentially what we do here and how that affects our swimmers, our athletes, and our coaches and our parents.
One of the big things I think that Mission has, and that I think a lot of other clubs are shooting for as well, is it's this culture of just work, right? And it's a culture, and let's talk about just what we did this weekend, right? We're coaching on deck for 4, 5, 6 hours, and then we got to fix the blocks, and we're going to fix the blocks, right? And it's not a why, like, why do we have to do this? It's just we are very fortunate as a staff is that the expectation is I'm there to help you and I'm there to work with you. And if I have to do a little bit more, I have to do a little bit more. Right. But our facility in general it's hard to keep up. Right. But we're the ones that have to do it. And obviously we have some help along the way, but the expectation from our staff, and it's not really an expectation. It's just, it's what we do. Right. If you need some work, you need some help, you need someone to fill in for you. There's, from 8 and under all the way through our senior division, we're there for each other, right? And that is the hope of what we're teaching our kids too, right? And I certainly, growing up through the program, right, you look at where going from 8 and under all the way through the senior division, right, that that family atmosphere and that we're going to work together towards a common goal. You feel it as an athlete, and as soon as I jumped into the coaching side of it, you felt that same thing, if not more so as a coach, I would say. I mean, we're very lucky to have some of the coaches that we have. You look at Sarah, who's not even on the coaching side anymore, right? But she's still just as much a part of that family, right? And you look at all of our directors and all of our full-time and even our part-time, right? It's everyone's there for each other and willing to go
Right.
that extra mile for each other. And I
Right.
think that's rare to have that much depth in a staff of willingness to do that. So I think that's a big piece in terms, at least on the staff side. But I'm the head senior coach coaching our three senior groups under Mark. And that's certainly the things that I just touched on are what we are trying to teach to our kids, right? It's a team focus. It's not a me focus, right? And we're all getting in the water at the same time. We finish the sets at the same time, and we push each other forward together, right? And we're looking for ways to make this not just I'm reaching my goals, but how can I help my teammates get there too, right? And if my teammate is struggling, what words can I say to push them up rather than just put out whatever I want to put out, right? What is going to help? What is a dialogue we can use, right, that is going to have value to the person next to me, right? And it's from both the coaching side and the athlete side. I'd say that is something that from the time I started at the Nadadors, that those things have been ingrained, right? And it's continued on through now as a 5-6 year coach after the athlete experience. So
Yeah.
that is certainly something that stands out to me. And I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of clubs along the way, and then some colleges along the way too. And I that big piece, at least from the staff side, is that just the want to work and the willingness to work and understanding what that means to get us where we are. Right? And obviously we still have a lot of work to do, but we've all, and I mean, you and I came back for that purpose of we want to make this the best club in the country, in the world, right? And that comes with work.
Always. Yeah, always.
Um,
You know, the bottom line is right now, I think this is the best coaching staff we've had in my time here at the Nadadors. We have all the right coaches in all the right places, but I think that is a part of our culture in that we're always looking to create the perfect puzzle. We've got the pieces, and I think right now they're as tight as they've ever been, and that's special. And most teams are always searching for that. We are always searching for that. Sometimes it seems like we've got the perfect fit, and then one coach leaves. Sometimes it seems like we have the perfect fit, and then a coach that doesn't necessarily have the chops to kind of make it in this environment comes in, and things can get thrown off whack a little bit. But right now, we've got such a great filter system of coaches. Starting at Coach Mark at the top, and then there's Logan and Daniel, and then there's Coach Jacinta, who is our head age group coach and 13-14 director. And Sarah is, while she's not on the deck, she's in there as a filter for all of the coaches to either go to with issues, go to with problems. Basically, we're able to handle the problems that we see on a daily basis within house, and we can take care of each other. And there's, Christine and Asami with the younger kids. We have a fantastic Learn to Swim program. We have great coaches over there. And our master's program is again, just world class with Mark. We've really created something special right now. And the culture is hard work for our swimmers, but it starts with the coaching staff. It really does. And let's be honest, Mark Schubert, he expects us to work hard. He's not going to let us, take it easy on ourselves. He says, listen, if we got to do something better, we're going to do it. And that's one thing that, with Mark coming on board, we are always kind of excited to what's next? Like, how can we make this better? It's never complacent. We're never just sitting there going, okay, we got things nice. Everything's comfortable. We got good coaches. We got good swimmers. We got good families. Now let's just keep it this way. It's really never like that. We are working hard. We're trying to improve all the time. And we've got the coaching staff that is making things happen. We're making changes constantly. I don't know if the families and the swimmers see it, but internally on the back end, we are doing everything we can to make this team better. And that's exciting. And I think it's something you have to do. We can adapt, we can make small adjustments, but one of the things that makes the Nadador special, like you said, and you grew up in the environment, it's a culture of work, it's a culture of training, it's a culture of getting value out of what swimming on the Nadadors provides.
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback a little bit more on what you said, and then that work, right, and teaching those values to our kids. And I think, again, being on the other side of it, right, that's probably the biggest thing that, and I didn't realize it at the time as a swimmer, right, what these coaches are trying to teach you, but that the skills we're teaching these kids and the work ethic you're teaching these kids, it carries on well beyond what we're doing in the sport, right? And that the goal is we're preparing them for life, right? And we're preparing them for whatever life throws at them, right? And I've been fortunate enough to stay in very close contact with a lot of the kids I grew up swimming with. I'm sure you remember a lot of them, and they've all gone on to do really impressive things throughout the country, right? Most of them aren't even in California anymore. They're either in New York or Boston or Chicago or anywhere else along the way. But that culture of work that we all went through, and a lot of them were fortunate enough to be under Tyler at the time when he was certainly a workhorse.
Oh yeah.
But that bigger picture, obviously we didn't see it at the time, but that is what really has stuck out with me once I got into the coaching world. How can I teach this to these kids, and how can I get this across to them, right? That whether I'm saying this is going to help you out long term or have beyond swimming or not, my hope is that when they leave here, right, they see that and they understand that. And we talk about getting them ready for the weight room, right, so they can walk off into college and understand, okay, whatever is in there, I know how to use it safely and appropriately, and I can handle myself. That same idea when they leave the Nadadors and go off to do whatever. My hope is that when they leave here, they know how to handle themselves. If they have to wake up at 5 a.m. and be okay, they're going to be okay. They can manage their time and all those things. So absolutely, I think that is, while we certainly are known to be one of the harder programs, right, and to put in a little bit more volume and put in a little more work, there's certainly reasons for it in the pool, but there's absolutely reasons for it outside the pool too. So I think that is probably one of our bigger pieces, is that we're not afraid to work these kids, and there's a lot of really reasons for it, not just in the pool, but outside the pool.
Right. We have a culture of hard work, and a lot of people think that we're just this distance program. And I've been hearing this for years. And I have to stop people and say, listen, like, we have amazing distance athletes. Absolutely. But, we have these parents of age group swimmers that say, oh, we're not going to go to the Nadadors because it's like, it's too much work. It's too hard. They're too intense. They're a distance program. Yes, it is hard work. Yes, it is intense. Yes, it is something where our swimmers are going to be prepared to swim distance events. But especially on an age group side of things, we're training IMers, not IMers, right? We're not saying, listen, you're one thing or another. We're going to develop you from the bottom up the best we can, 4 strokes, dolphin kicks, turns, starts, all of it, right? And what you end up being is what it ends up being. You could be a sprinter, a mid-distance IMer, mid-distance freestyler, long-distance freestyler, or open water athlete, and you've kind of experienced that. So you're the one who kind of brought that up, said, we're not a distance-based program as much as we are a hard work-based program. Can you elaborate on that?
It's exactly what you said. And I think, unfortunately, for younger athletes, they just see, or if you hear the word distance, you think it's hard, which it doesn't necessarily have to be true. But what we're trying to do, and I think we've shifted a little more towards the end of Bill Rose's career and into Mark's career, we certainly don't do the volume that we did. We work hard, right? And it's working harder and smarter at the same time. Right, we're going to ask you to do 2100's best average, right? We're not going to ask you to go 21,000's best average, right? So there's a difference in how we're approaching it, right? But we're going to ask you to do a set that you might fail at, right? And it's probably harder than what someone else is going to ask you to do. And it's probably something that you might not be able to do, right? But we're going to put you in those situations that other people aren't willing to go to, so that when you stand behind the blocks, you know you can handle it, and you know you can race anybody in that field, right? And that when you watch a lot of Mission Viejo Nadadores, and this is what we're known for, right? It's that last 25, that last 50, right? We put you in that situation enough to know that I can move here. When this person's starting to fade, I'm going to start to accelerate because I put in that work,
Yeah.
not that I've done 10 1000s. Look at me, right? Anyone can do 10 1000s. You can do it really slow if you want, right? But if we're going to ask you to maybe do, let's say something like 6 500s, and I know Mark has done a lot of these quality sets where you're going to go 4 500s from the blocks, or let's say even like something like 3 1000s from the blocks. And I watched some of his athletes do it this summer where I want to say Brenniger was there, David was there. There's another somewhere there, and I can't remember his name now, but those were very quality 1000s. I watched one of them go 905 for his last 1000, right? So they're holding very fast paces, and we're asking you to do something that others might say, okay, I got to go 3 1000s and I'm going to kind of just do it, right? We're going to ask you to do it. And we're going to ask you to do it better than anyone else is going to do it, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
again, it's that I'm going to work harder than you, and I'm going to do it in a way that you can't do it, right? And that's where our confidence kind of comes from. But again, that doesn't mean that we're going to shy away from a longer set either. Are we going to do it every day? No, right? And then someone like a Katie McLaughlin is not going to do what I'm doing, right? And I was fortunate enough to train with her for a bit. So she's a sprinter, right? It's now more than ever, she's really focusing on those hundreds and 200s. Obviously, she was in high school at the time when I was swimming with her, so she was getting a little bit more of that overall training, right? But me and her certainly did not follow the same path every workout, right? And kind of touching again back on what you're saying is, we're trying to get these kids in high school everything, right? Expose them to everything,
Yes.
make them a better overall athlete,
Right.
right? We're not just trying to say, okay, let's get really good at the 100 fly. I want to see if you can do a really good 1000. And Katie would do that, right?
Yeah.
And she would do all of those things, right? So again, we're not afraid of any race, right? We're not afraid of a 50. We're not afraid of a mile, right? And you might be more oriented towards one of them, right? And we'll have you focus that. But you're going to get exposed to everything else along the way. You're going to be an IM, or you're going to be a 50 flyer. You're going to do all those things so that there's no doubt in anything that we do, that you are prepared for whatever's going to be thrown at you.
Yeah.
So
And,
I'm
and
not sure if that answered your question.
yeah, no, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think the misconception is that we start with this high level, high intensity, high volume from very young ages. And I look at what I was doing at the 10 and under group, and yeah, maybe we were a little bit more higher volume than some other clubs, but I really felt like, the swimming that we did at 9 and 10 at times can be very high volume, but most of the time we were having fun. We were enjoying every second of our practice and getting in the skills that were necessary. We would do some high volume things at 10 and under on particular days or weeks, so that, like you said, they were exposed to what is it like to swim, a 400 IM? What is it like to swim, a couple of 500 frees, at the best trading pace possible in practice as a 10-year-old or as a 9-year-old. And the kids that could do it, really loved it. The kids that couldn't do it, we would adjust down. Maybe they're going to do 300 instead of 500s. Right now, we have such a great staff from the bottom up, with, Coach Asami with our 8 and unders. I mean, she makes everything fun. She works on basically 100% skill work with these kids. Then they move on to Coach Christine. And every time I look over and watch her coach, she's smiling. She's having a good time. Her kids are laughing. Her kids are having a good time. And they have these amazing strokes. Like, I always look at their butterfly. Like right now, her 10 and unders are super tiny. They're like these, just shrunken. And maybe that's just because I coach 11, 12s now, but I feel like they're so small. And you'd think, well, these kids, they could never have the strength to swim, And then they go in some of these butterfly and breaststroke events. And I'm like, wow, they're just amazing. Like they're amazing athletes. But I think that's something that I really prided myself on, was that, you know, when I coach, I want to be the hardest working. I want my kids to be the hardest working kids out there. I want them to be the fastest out there, but I want them to be the kids that could say, I have more fun than anybody else I know. When they show up, I want them to come back going, what are we going to do today? This is exciting. And I think that's where we are from the bottom up. And we slowly develop these athletes that can do anything and get them ready for high school, get them ready for Logan, get them ready for Coach Mark. It's, you know, so that they can do whatever is thrown in front of them. I think that's a good way to start with these little kids. Have as much fun as possible and teach them the value of that hard work while we're doing it.
Yeah. You know, what you're saying resonates with me a little bit, because I was fortunate enough to work with Bill Voigt, or be his assistant for, I want to say it was over a year. And he said this to me early on, because I mean, Bill was known for writing some hard sets too, and he was certainly not afraid to push them. If you're not challenging them, they're going to lose interest, and they're going to get bored, and they're going to get complacent, right? So when I first got into the coaching world, and having the background as an Nadador as I had, I was hesitant to write some of those harder sets, because like, I know what that feels like, right? And I know that not everyone's going to enjoy that, but I started to lean towards more of that as I started to develop my own philosophies and all these things. And it's certainly true. And it's like you're saying, is we're going to give you a really hard set, and it's going to be challenging, and you're might be a little bit afraid of it, right? But when you finish it, it's that reward that a lot of people don't feel, as I just worked my butt off, right? And I just did something that a lot of people aren't willing to do, right? And you get that sense of accomplishment and that reward, and that becomes fun, right? And that environment, and that becomes what's expected, and it becomes an enjoyable thing. Not all the time. There's certainly times we have to sell it a little bit.
Yep.
But that what you're just saying, that reminded me of kind of what Bill told me way back when, is that it's you got to be willing to challenge them, because they're not going to feel that accomplishment, and they're not going to get that reward system, that if we aren't giving them these things, it's not going to be the same. And I didn't realize it at the time as a swimmer and as a coach until I kind of really let myself, or continued on into this coaching world. But absolutely. So I think that's something probably from age group through senior, we try to put that emphasis on fun, right? Obviously, if you're not enjoying the sport, it's going to be real hard for you to stay in it long term, right? And we've found a creative way, I guess, to make this a culture of work, and that is an enjoyable thing, right? Because we understand the bigger picture of why, right? Why we're doing what we're doing.
And I don't think
So
these kids would last. Fun. You know, these kids wouldn't last. They wouldn't get to Coach Logan if we didn't make it enjoyable. I mean, so we're doing something right. If they're able to go through our program, or, you know, come from any other program and stay with it and enjoy it enough to make it to Coach Mark Schubert and Coach Logan, like we did something right, you know, and that's what we do. Let's change gears and kind of hit on basically what we do with our social events at the pool, away from the pool, and how we kind of create this team unity with what we do for the city, and how the city supports us, and how we in turn go back and support the city along the way.
Sure. So again, growing up through the program, I didn't realize this wasn't commonplace in the swimming world, or at least the other clubs weren't doing this. But we are a big part of Mission Viejo, right? You drive through Mission Viejo, you got Nadador posters all along the way heading up to the pool, and you got our mayor's literally a former Nadador,
former Olympian Nadador. That's pretty awesome.
So we are, without realizing it, I think, I mean, now I realize it, we are a big part of the city, and we take a lot of pride in that, right? And we want to represent the city really, really well. So we do, obviously COVID, it's a little bit different how we're doing things right now. But I would say we're trying to do at least 5 or 6 city functions a year, whether that's doing food drives during Thanksgiving or trying to do a toy drive during Christmas,
Right.
Halloween, same thing. And I know there's various other events we'll take part in, whether that's trash cleanups along the
Right.
Oso Trail
Coastal
or
cleanup. Yeah.
yeah.
The
So
red ribbon walk.
we certainly recognize what the city does for us, right? So as a staff, we want to make sure we're doing our part to give back to the city. And it, without realizing it, they end up becoming team kind of bonding events
Yes.
for the swimmers,
Yeah.
right? We kind of tie that into how can we get the Nadador family together. And I think that's, again, looking back at culture, that's a big part of our culture is it's a family, right? And it's our 10 and unders are looking at our national team, right? And that national team gets to be a role model for those 10 and unders at those events, right? And it's the same thing whether we're doing a toy drive or we're cleaning up over there, right? We are all contributing towards that bigger picture, right? And we're all part of that family of we want to help the city out and we want to work together towards these common causes. So yeah, I think without realizing as an athlete, that was a big thing is having these events that we do together and we actually get to give back in the process, right? And again, we are very fortunate to have a city that supports us in the way that we do, right? Because not all clubs have that
Right.
fortune that we have.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not sure if you want to kind of elaborate on the other side of it.
Well, coming from the coaching perspective, we just were lucky that we have the support of the city. But since I've been in Nadador, it's something that we've always done. We've always gone to the red ribbon walk. We brought, our blue and gold, and while everyone else has their red, walk against drug shirt on, we have our, Nadador shirts on, and, we're very, very visible. We're always the largest group of any city function when we take part in it. And I think it just shows the city that, we love Mission Viejo. We are an important part of it. We feel important, and, we'll continue to do this. And Coach Rose was very big on supporting everything that the city did that we could potentially do. And I know Coach Mark is right on board with that and has, Mark has the most amazing and fun stories about how Mission Viejo was built. And really, the city of Mission Viejo built this giant complex for a swim team, for the Mission Viejo Nadadors, and the city just expanded around this pool, and Mark was a part of all of that. And so we really like this support, this back and forth has been going on since day one, and it is not, fizzled out, and it's stronger than ever right now with Bryan, as the mayor, and Mark back in the helm of the team. It's really interesting. And like you said, I didn't realize that was unique. I didn't realize that not all teams did this. There's a lot of things I didn't realize when I was a Nadador coach for the first couple of years that I just thought were totally normal. And we had something special, and I was very lucky to jump on board with a team like this, with the history, the tradition, the culture. And I mean, that's another podcast for another day, but we certainly should have, Mark on here telling some of his amazing, great stories. Because to me, like, this is my family. This is my swim family. And, when you find out more about your history, it just makes you more invested, and it's really exciting. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, we just do a lot of great, fun social events for the kids. Some of it is in-house, where we do our, Nadador nights. This is obviously pre-COVID, and hopefully we get to a point in the future where we can do it again. But I'm sure you remember we would have these just enormous feasts on the pool deck, and have the kids come in. The families would all participate, bring in food, and the kids would scarf down these meals after a full team practice from lane 1 to lane 18 or 19 or how many lanes we have. I don't know. We're practically swimming in the parking lot. There's so many kids swimming.
Pretty much.
I mean, it was from the teaching pool to the dive well. And then we would get out and have this huge feast that the parents would put together. The parents are, and that's something that we should probably head towards too, is just recognizing how fantastic our parents are. I mean, they're willing to do whatever it takes to keep us going and help us out, just couple months ago, I asked the swim families to make those, streamlined kickout sticks for us. And within, a couple days, I had twice as many sticks than I asked for. So, it's just, these are like, to me, I'm like, well, this is a lot of work, but to the families, I feel like they just want to support us in any way they can, because we are doing the best we can with their kids, and we're helping them be great human beings, and they're getting really fast at swimming along the way.
No.
But we certainly couldn't do without all the parent volunteers. There's just so many parents that do so much for this program, and they're getting a little bit of a break right now with the COVID time where they don't have to volunteer quite as much. I almost think they're asking for things. They want to help, even though there's not a lot
Absolutely.
to do right now. Mm-hmm. So, with meets coming up and opportunities for them to volunteer, I can see we're just going to have a lot of parents just doing whatever they can to be, great helpers. That's one of the things about this team that I just really cherish is the moms, the dads, the grandmas and grandpas, the siblings supporting their athletes, supporting the coaching staff, and just supporting the program. And it's outstanding. It's outstanding.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, we've both been fortunate enough now to kind of experience multiple things, and there's really nothing like it here. So yeah, we are very lucky. And thinking about what you said, we definitely need to get Mark Schubert on here. I'd love to hear the early stages of Nadadors, and kind of hear that. I'm sure others would like to hear that kind of growth along the way too. The other one, we need to get on here is Mark Moore, because that guy, that Masters coach, he does an incredible job. And the more I kind of watch that program go, the more impressed I am that he does a lot of work for that. And that, we have an incredible Masters program.
Hey, Coach of the Year, right? Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark.
So obviously this is our podcast, right? This is us kind of giving the introduction of, this is the Nadador Way. This is what our culture looks like. This is kind of a little preview into our lives as coaches and kind of what goes on behind the scenes. I kind of had this thought a couple months ago on coming back to the Nadadors, and it sounds like it was kind of a thought in your mind way back when too, and now we've kind of got to put this into reality, right? And at least for me, the goals I'm hoping to get across through these podcasts is kind of giving the swimming world and our Nadador world, and anyone who's interested in what's going on in the Nadador world, what our world looks like on the inside, and what our coaches are doing, what their plans are, what their programming looks like, what their philosophies are, and how we can kind of share that with the rest of the world, and hopefully help push other clubs in that direction too. And again, we absolutely have a lot to learn, right? And I think that's what makes us a good staff, as we all know, we're not done, right? There's a lot of things that we're trying to get better at along the way, right? And hopefully we can share some of those things with the other swimming world of what we're doing well, but along the way, things that we're trying to get better at, right? And things that we are actively working on, and what our coaches are actively working on, and some of the history, and whatever we really is going on at the Nadadors, we want to share that with the rest of the swimming world, right? Yeah. So that's kind of my goal, is to put those things out there, and to kind of get this platform of, we've been a program for a long time, long before me and long before you, we've been around. And now we're where we are. What are we 50 years now?
I don't do math. That's one thing my kids will tell you. Coach Bryan does not do math, but we're somewhere around there.
Yeah, we're around that time.
Yeah, we're just a fraction. The two of us, we're just a fraction of the lifespan of this team.
Yeah, so I think that's my biggest goal. Is I think now, as being on the other side of it for a while now, is getting that out to the rest of the world and sharing what we know. Not to say that we are the smartest people in the world, right? But we are truly a part of something special, and I want to make sure that we can get that out and have others be a part of that too, and help others with that process as well. So that's kind of my goal. So I'm not sure what are your goals, hopefully, with this podcast.
Well, very similar. And the other thing, I think, along with getting our story out there and getting out this information, the things that we're doing here, I'm very interested in bringing in other, programs, bringing in other coaches that do a great job, coaches that we look at and go, what are they doing over there that's so great, right? Because we're not the only team out there that's doing awesome things, right? We're one of the great programs, if not the greatest program of all time. Like, I'd love to say that, and it sounds right. Sounds awesome, right? But there are other amazing programs out there that are doing things, some of them small, some of them very small. How are you able to do the things you do with a small program? And then there are other teams that are much larger than us, and we can learn from all of them. So I'm excited to bring in coaching staff and from other programs and other athletes from other programs, see what they're doing, and just interview people along the way that we can learn from, right? Like you said, we're always learning, and we certainly can use this as a platform for us as a program and as individual coaches to get better. I'd like to see us go over some training. I'd like to see us go over technique. I'd like to see us talk to our office staff, Dia, Sarah, who is our operations manager, like people that aren't on the pool deck but make our team run. Like, without them, we'd be in big trouble, right? Or we'd have to do their job, which, by the way, I can't. So I don't want to do that. So, I'd also like to, bring in coaches like Chris and Wade that have this important duty of not necessarily always coaching these higher level swimmers, but coaching the swimmers that need the development from the bottom up. And that can be the hardest group to coach, because I've done it before. And those swimmers tend to feel, they're not always that important if they don't have the right coach. We have the right coaches. And I want to know, what is Wade doing? What is Chris doing to make these kids come back? Because the attendance in our bronze levels has never been better. It really has never been better since I've been here. And so that means they're doing something right. I think it's really important to hear what they have to say and their perspective on things. Love to have Coach Jacinta on here. We have, sometimes 2-hour staff meetings with just the age group, because we're just, we are just chatting. We're talking. What can we do to be better? And that's kind of a fun thing. So having Jacinta on here would be great. But ultimately, this to me, it sounds like we're on the same page. This is a learning experience for both of us, and we'd like to help to create a source of continuing education for the world of swimming. Anybody, everybody. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right.
This is the Nadador Way.
This is the Nadador Way, right? Put on your Mandalorian helmet now.
There you go. This is the way.
This is the way. All right, Logan.
Well, do we thank everyone for coming?
I feel like this is going to be on YouTube. So if you have anything to add to this, if you have ideas, if you have any suggestions, put them down in the comment section. And don't forget to hit the like button. Apparently that's what you're supposed to say.
There it is.
And subscribe, and you'll win PS5. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that would be great.
Maybe we'll have things for maybe we'll have little raffles or little rewards for people checking in and watching.
There you go. Yeah, well, we'll see. There's no way of knowing where we're gonna go, but there's certainly more coming. So, hey, well, thanks, Bryan. I look forward to our next talk.
All right. Thanks.
Now we
I don't know
to think of an exit theme song.
Yeah, exactly. Is there like kind of some sort of exit to get out of this thing? Like, and we're done.
And this is the Nadador Way.
Close it. And this is the Nadador Way.